They are clear. So next I'll show you me putting everything back together and we'll be done with the project. So now when we put everything back together, we're just going to set this piece right here. This connector is going to be pointing this way, obviously, towards the connector there, and I'm going to begin with that inner bolt there. And I didn't actually show you a good picture of it here, so once I get it started, I'm going to rearrange the camera and just kind of show you that bolt, just to give you that little extra confidence boost here so you can do the job. That is, if I ever get it started. There we go. So basically, the bolt is going to be sitting right down in there, like so, and we're just gonna get both these bolts started. So now I've got both my bolts started. I'm just gonna go ahead and run both of them down, just so they both kind of touch the EGR valve itself, and then we're gonna snug both of them down onto the EGR valve housing. And this one was tough coming out, so it's gonna need the ratchet to assist in going back in. I can feel it snug down, and now I'm gonna go on the other side and just make sure it's snug down. So now they're both snug down, and what I'll do is kind of make sure it's on there nice and straight. And now I'm just gonna take my ratchet, and now I can feel that it actually came to a stop. Now once it came to a stop, I've snugged it, and then I've made it come to a stop. So I'm gonna come to the other side and just, like you saw me do right there, that came to a stop. Now I'm going to tighten both of them down just so it does have some tightness on it. So I'm going to go right there. We go. That feels really good, about tight enough. So you're going to take it about a quarter turn almost from here all the way over to here once you've snugged it till it stops. And I'm going to do the same thing with this guy over here, and I'm just going to start right here, and that one I must have tightened a little bit more than the other side because it only went about 3/4 of a full quarter turn. So that's about tight enough for this valve right here. We're just gonna go ahead and plug the piece back up, and we've got our EGR valve installed back to where we want it. So next thing we'll do is we'll go ahead and install this plate here for our EGR and intake passageways. So the next thing we'll do is we'll take our new cleaned off plate here. I'm just gonna grab on this piece right here, and I'm gonna pull them back if I can do so, while I'm being ever so careful not to miss that gasket there. And I've got them set in such a way now that it looks pretty, so I'm just gonna hold with one hand while I begin installing the new bolts, or the old good bolts. And I'm just gonna run them down in here, and I'll start at least a couple of them here before I let go. I'm gonna get that one with the bracket there, and I'm gonna start him. And now we can just take the rest of them and get all at least those other 3 bolts started, and make sure it's not the shorter one. Just make sure you get the long 3 ones started, and go ahead and run them down to the plate. Alright, now I've got my other 4 bolts ran all the way down to the plate, and I left this one just to kind of show you exactly what I mean there. You can see I'm putting them down on there, and I just stopped. It was finger tight, and that's exactly what you're going to want to do. And then we're going to retighten these in such a way. I'm going to go ahead and just kind of there until it snugs. I'm going to just there until it snugs, just there until it snugs, just there until it snugs. And you're going to want to do it in the exact order that I'm doing it, because we're working with a gasket here, and we want to make sure your gasket seals properly. So now I've snugged all those. Let me double check this one. Yeah, that one's snugged. Now I'm going to come here, and I'm going to really put some force on there until it stops. Then I'm going to start over here again. I'm just going to, till it stops. I'm going to come here till it stops, and get on this guy back there until it stops, and again right here until it stops. Now I'm just going to make sure each one of them are tight again. Just give it a little bit of extra like you saw me do there, and again we'll go in the same order. So right there, right there, and right there. So now I know that's pretty well torqued on there pretty much without actually using a torque wrench. I just use the feeling there, and I know it's going to be tight. Now we're going to take this hose and I'm just going to work them on right like that. Take my pair of pliers and grab this little clamp right here and stick him back on. And now we get to begin kind of just putting all that plastic stuff that was covering everything back on. And in order to do that, we're gonna have to come down below here and grab these two rubber type bushing things and pull them off, so we can work them into these pieces right here and we can put it back on. If you don't do that, it's gonna be near impossible to put this piece back on and set it in there. Okay guys, so like I was saying, we have these two rubber pieces and they're ones I just touched. So I'm going to begin with this one, and I'm just going to grab one with my pliers and twist, and grab, twist, and pull off. And it'll come off right like that. And we'll do the same thing with the other one. And I'm just going to set my pliers off to the side, and then what we'll do is I'll come over here and I'll work this in. I'm going to reset up the camera so you have a better shot of what I'm doing. Okay guys, so here we've got a better shot. So you're just going to take this rubber piece right here and just kind of put him back up in there. He'll just pop right in. I'll do the same with the other one. I already removed the other one. Then we're just going to set this guy down in here, and we're going to come over. Sorry, I realized you couldn't see what I was talking about. So like I was saying, we're going to come over to this air intake hose right here, and we're gonna go ahead and work him in there first. Then I'm gonna look down at my pieces here, and I'm gonna position this air box and cover type thing in such a way that those holes are sitting down on those studs. And once I've got it lined up, which it looks like I do right now, I'm just gonna go ahead and begin pushing down. I'm gonna kind of rock it back and forth a little bit and just wiggle it around. Oh, and I felt one slide down on there. And we'll know by both these bolt holes will be lined up pretty much when it's done. And I'm also visually inspecting here, and it looks like we've got both of them on there. So just go ahead and push and just really making sure it feels like it's on there good, and it is. So now we'll go ahead and take these two bolts and run them in and get this piece tight and secure. Also guys, I realized I almost missed this small little detail. Make sure you don't, because this looks like this is the ground for spark plugs or fuel injectors. So just make sure to take your small little 10mm bolt there and stick him in there and tighten up that ground, because you're definitely going to need that. Now I'll get back to putting those two bolts in. So like I was saying, we'll just take our two 10mm bolts here, we'll go ahead and get them started, and then we'll just run them down, tighten them up, and then we'll get this cover back on. And there we go. And just tighten them down there. We don't need to tighten them too tight, but that'll be good, just how you saw me do it right there. Now we'll take our little piece right here, and we can see we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 different places here. I'm just making sure you can see what I'm talking about, and we'll just go ahead and set these studs in these little rubber bushing type areas. So I'm just going to set them right there, and just kind of wiggle them back and forth while I push down, and there we go. So that pretty much concludes the project of cleaning those EGR passageways and your EGR valve as well. So I thank y'all for watching, and as always, I'll see you again next time. Thanks for watching, guys, and don't forget to subscribe so you can catch all my new videos, which publish Mondays and Fridays at 9 a.m. Pacific Time, 10 a.m. Mountain Time, 11 a.m. Central Time, 12 p.m. Eastern Time, and I will see you then. Alright guys, and here's what it's going to sound like when it's running on just 2 cylinders. Okay guys, so this is the test drive for the 2-cylinder Civic. And it's riding a little rough, to my knowledge.